Hello, thank you for tuning in to my talk. My name is Bobbi, and I'll be speaking with you about some work that I did using passive acoustic technology to monitor poaching activity in Ghana. So, our study takes place in Kakum Conservation Area, which is a well-protected contiguous tropical forest in southern Ghana, and it was once used for logging. Kakum Conservation Area is approximately 366 kilometers square in area. Kakum is home to many species, including African forest elephants, olive colobus, white-thighed colobus, Loess monkey, African gray parrot, and many species that are targeted for hunting or for trade. At the southern end of the Kakum Conservation Area is Kakum National Park, one of Ghana's most visited wildlife parks, hosting upwards of 100,000 visitors per year. Kakum is surrounded by about 52 communities and bordered by rich agricultural lands comprising oil palm plantations, maize, plantain, cocoyam, cassava, and cocoa farms. Unfortunately, some of these crops attract forest elephants who can swiftly destroy the livelihood of a farmer in one night, leading to human-elephant conflict. While Kakum is a protected forest, there's still quite a lot of illegal hunting in the park. To combat illegal hunting, or poaching, Kakum organized 8 patrol teams who regularly patrol throughout the park. During a patrol, the teams search for evidence of poaching. On-foot patrols are challenging and physically demanding in the dense forest, particularly during the 2 rainy seasons. Team members often need to bushwhack through the vegetation or circumvent particularly dense areas in order to survey their designated regions. Evidence of poaching includes traces of poaching camps, footprints, shotgun cartridges, and snare traps. Trapping is the most common method of hunting in Kakum, however, gun hunting is really close behind it. 12-gauge shotguns and 2 different caliber rifles are the most common guns that are used for poaching in Kakum. And this photo here is actually a photo that was captured during the survey at a camera trap that was co-located with the Swift at site E12, and this poacher here is holding a gun in his hand. Given the prominence of gun hunting in Kakum, we wanted to know if passive acoustic monitoring could assist park managers with their conservation efforts. Passive acoustic monitoring is a way of acoustically surveying an environment for the occurrence of a target signal, like gunshots. Some benefits of passive acoustic monitoring is that it can be continuous and simultaneous way of collecting a lot of data across a large landscape. And given the density of the forest, visual observations and on-foot patrols can be really limited. But acoustic recording devices can have a relatively large detection range. So we recorded acoustic data using Swifts, which are passive acoustic recording devices that were developed by the Cornell Center for Conservation Bioacoustics. The Swifts were housed in hard pelican cases that safeguarded the recording equipment from rain, humidity, insects, and curious primates. The housing was camouflaged to make it harder for hunters and for elephants to notice. The Swifts were set up at 20 sites throughout the park in a grid configuration. Each site was approximately 4 kilometers from the next, and data were collected between June and August of 2018. The Swifts recorded continuously for a total of 786 24-hour days across all the sites. Some units recorded longer than others, where one site recorded for only 22 days and another site recorded for 52 days. But the average recording across all sites was for 44 days. In August, when the grid survey was complete, the Kakum patrol teams were able to set up a localization array of 13 Swifts in the northern part of the park. The localization array will allow us to build a probability of detection curve for signals that are produced within the array. The detection curve will then allow us to estimate the distance for which the Swift can record that signal. From that, we can estimate the area of the park that the Swift is able to record a gunshot, for example. And the sites were configured in a grid, and they were set approximately 500 meters apart from each other. They recorded for 28 contiguous days between August and September. So after reviewing gunshot propagation from the localization array data, we were able to determine that the detection range of the gunshots in these recordings is less than 1.5 kilometers. This result is consistent with gunshot detection range estimates in similar environments, also using swifts of the same calibration settings. This suggests that the swifts were able to acoustically cover an area of approximately 127 kilometers squared, which is illustrated here in the map by the gray circles around each site. Notice that the detection area around each site rarely overlaps with the detection area of another site, which means that it'll be unusual for us to have more than one site record the same gunshot. This also suggests that most of the recorded gunshots in this study originated within the park boundary. The Elephant Listening Project created a MATLAB-based template detector using exemplar gunshot recordings from rainforests in Africa. The figure above shows a spectrogram of a gunshot from site E10. The detector uses spectrogram cross-correlation between each exemplar gunshot template and the target sounds, resulting in a correlation coefficient value that we use as a score to help determine the likelihood that a detection is indeed a gunshot, also called a true positive. We then use the precision and recall to determine how well the detector did at finding gunshots. We were able to determine that the performance was consistent across sites, which indicates that the site location did not influence how well the detector did. After reviewing all the detections, we found that gunshots were recorded at all sites during the 52-day survey. Since the detection areas of each site rarely overlap, we concluded that there were no replicate gunshots counted in this survey and that most of the gunshots originated from within the park. The size of each circle in the figure here represents the 1.5 detection area for gunshots, and the color map represents the effort-corrected gunshots per site. White indicates low gunshot activity, and red indicates high gunshot activity. Site E10 has the highest amount of gunshot activity in the park, as you can see here. And there appears to be quite a bit of spatial variability in the gunshot activity throughout the park. However, no strong trends seem to have emerged from this yet. So looking at the cumulative number of gunshots per hour, we can see here that there's a strong trend for poaching to occur at night, which is not unexpected. Most of the poaching appears to occur between 8 p.m. and midnight local time, and that time frame comprises 40% of all the gunshots that were recorded. Looking at weekday trends, we can see that most of the poaching occurs on Monday and Tuesday. During the survey, 2 market days occurred each week, one on Tuesday, which is the larger of the two, and one on Friday. From these data, it appears that most of the hunting occurs on the day before Tuesday market day, and it's possible that some of the hunting on Tuesday was from the early morning hours just before the market. Also during the survey, the Cocoon patrol efforts were highest on Monday through Thursday, and the lowest were on Friday through Monday. So, can passive acoustic monitoring help inform park management patrols and conservation efforts? The short answer is yes. Using passive acoustic technology, we were able to identify local locations of heightened gunshot poaching activity, narrow down specific times of day when poaching is highest, and determine key days of the week when the patrol efforts could be concentrated. We also opportunistically observed several other vocal species, including the endangered forest elephant. These data could be used for species monitoring in the park as well. The observed trends in poaching will potentially change over time, so it's important to conduct long-term monitoring in order to better understand the trends of the poachers in this park. It's also important to emphasize here that these gunshots do not represent all of the poaching in Kakum, and that some areas might be more heavily targeted for animals that are more commonly killed by guns, such as elephants or arboreal animals. While I find these results interesting, they're still preliminary and there's a lot more work to be done with this project. My next steps will include modeling the spatial and temporal occurrence of gunshots to determine key driving factors and trends in poaching activity. I'm also interested in classifying the different gun types by measuring specific acoustic features of the gunshot. In some cases, the type of gun and the number of shots can help indicate the target species. I'll also compare these results to data that was collected in Kakum in 2000 to see if gun poaching in the park has changed over the years. And finally, I'll continue working with the folks at Kakum to help provide data from this study and extract new data that might be useful to the park managers. And with that, I'd like to thank you for your attention. And I'd also like to thank the number of folks who helped to fund the project and contributed a great amount of effort and assistance to help make it happen. I'd like to especially thank Jonas, CK, and Anand, who spent days trekking and camping in the forest during the rainy season to help deploy and retrieve the equipment. Thank you.